This is a 1966 Rambler American 440 convertible. It's the top-of-the-line 440 model. Now, 440 does not stand for the cubic inches.
Nice.
Unfortunately, it's actually the model. The 220 was the base, bottom line, basic transportation, rubber mat kind of car. This was the more upscale, nice carpet, more trim, nice chrome, upscale, small car.
And how long have you had it?
I've had it since June of 2014.
And was it in this condition when you got it?
No. I've done a lot of various work. The paint that's on it is probably 30 years old. It was repainted one time in its original Cortez Aqua metallic. It's the right color. It was just repainted many years ago. It needed some mechanical work. The car started and it drove and it stopped, and that's about it. Safely, that's another question. And really how I came to get this car was one Sunday afternoon, my buddy George, he called me and said, Maynard, a guy at work's aunt had a 66 Rambler convertible, supposed to be rust-free. And I'm thinking, okay, convertible and rust-free don't ordinarily go in the same sentence, okay? Convertible tops would get leaks, and then water would get in, rust the floor pans, and convertibles have a very low survival rate in general among all makes and models. And I also didn't know if it was an American, a classic, an ambassador. You know, what size Rambler? I mean, that was the brand. It could have been any size, the large, medium, or small. But it's worth a while because Rambler convertibles are quite rare. So George and I went out over to a place in Trouttville, brought a big lift along, a big jack, and we wanted to check for rust first. That's the biggest deal. If it has extensive rust, that can be very expensive, time-consuming, or even a deal breaker, depending on how severe the rust is. So it seemed like 10 minutes George was underneath the car. And he finally emerged from the back of the car, expecting to hear the worst. I expected, okay, Maynard, it's rusted out. And he says, Maynard, I can't find a speck of rust underneath the car. And I'm like, I thought to myself, I'm buying this car today. The owner of the car and I negotiated price, and we came to an agreement. And that day, he delivered this car to my garage, that very day.
How many miles is on this?
It just turned 75,000 original miles.
Wow.
Turned yesterday.
Awesome. That is fantastic.
It's a 232 inline six. It has its original engine. It's a two-barrel, which has 155 horsepower and 222 foot-pounds of torque, which is not bad for an inline six. American Motors came out with this engine in 1964. They introduced it in the Rambler Typhoon as kind of a yellow and black special edition to highlight the new engine. They used this very same block, American Motors, and then later Chrysler. The same block, the inline six. It powered Jeeps. They fuel injected it in the 90s, all these things, and they actually used this basic engine design until 2006. We ended up, we did some detailing around the engine bay, repainted a few areas around the battery. The battery tray was all rusted out, so we found another one and repainted this whole area by the battery tray.
So the tailpipe looked kind of new.
Yeah, basically from the intermediate pipe back, you need to put new exhaust. The old one's kind of rusting apart. It's like, okay. But it's the original style tailpipe there, where it kind of comes out the side. Station wagons and convertibles had that feature on the side exhaust. Apparently, if you had a station wagon or convertible, the exhaust would come out back around.
It would vortex, I got
you. Yeah,
Okay,
so they
had
to come out the side. The wire wheel covers were the top-of-the-line accessory for the year, the 14-inch wheel covers. And when I got the car, it had these little dog dish hubcaps on it. They had a little R on them, which is kind of incongruous for a 440. And it may have been replaced at one time with dog dishes, but I have several sets of wheels. I have the standard wheel cover. I have the wheel cover with the spinner. I found these wire wheel covers one at a time on eBay, at flea markets, different places. And then I restored them all at one time. Took them all apart, all the spokes, repainted the centers, kind of rebuilt them all, and then made a set for this. It's very difficult to find a matching set when you want one. Mechanically, the worst thing when we got this car is that the transmission leaked like a sieve. You park it and all of a sudden you have this red river. It's okay to move it around, but you can't drive it like that. So I took it in to my mechanic and trans guy, and he said, the case is aluminum. It can be welded, although where it's cracked is right at a joint. He said, it'd be better if you could find a good case, and we can rebuild the whole thing and put it back together. A friend of mine from Scranton had a Rambler American transmission, and we met at Hershey. And I got the good case with this, and my transmission guy the two became one. and so the transmission is perfect now. It's automatic on the floor, which was an option. The standard was 3-speed on the tree.
Oh, that's right.
That was standard.
Okay.
And then you could get overdrive with that if you wanted to. Most of them are probably automatic on the column. When you had the 440s and automatic on the column, that was very common. Mm-hmm. And then you had some where you paid extra for automatic on the floor, and then extra for an armrest. And then the slim bucket seats. This also has power steering, so this steers so easily. I had the wiper motor rebuilt. Not that I plan to drive this in the rain, but if you did, at least you might be able to see a little bit. And a new heater control valve, because the old one had seen its better days. A bunch of small things, really. These black interior here on these seats, underneath these seat covers is the original material. And the original material is actually white. This was a white interior with a white top, but somebody put black vinyl on top of this. I actually have no idea of the actual condition of the material underneath here. And I don't feel like, once I take this off, you reach the point of no return. You either have to redo it, fix it, or redo the entire interior. For the foreseeable future, I'm just leaving it black as it is. This has the optional push-button AM radio. It has one speaker underneath there. It sounds great. It's called a Motorola Golden Voice speaker. Right in the middle, and it sounds great. I mean, I turn it down usually, it's too loud. We also put some new seat belts in the back for safety. When our children are with us, we want to have nice brand new ones.
Did it come seat beltless?
It came with seat belts.
Did it?
They were just the really old ones. Eventually, if I do a full restoration, I would restore those seat belts. But seat belts were optional until 1968. Yeah, well, Nash actually came out with seat belts in the 50s, way before they were required or mandated or anything. The problem was people thought that somehow the car was unsafe because, man, if they have seat belts, something's wrong with the car. So they dropped them. It's kind of funny how we think, just because something's new.